Dear friends, welcome to the quiz on the chapter Gravitation, Science and Technology Part 1, Maharashtra State Board, Class 10. The name of the chapter is Gravitation for Class 10. After reading out every question, I will pause for 7 to 8 seconds so that you can come up with an answer. But if you need more time, please feel free to pause the video and answer the question. So let us start with the quiz. Which observation led Sir Isaac Newton to discover the phenomenon of gravitation? The correct answer is seeing an apple fall from a tree towards the ground. Newton questioned why the apple falls vertically downwards rather than horizontally or at an angle, leading to the conclusion that Earth attracts it. Which direction does the centripetal force always act on an object moving in a circular path? The correct answer will be towards the center of the circle. The term centripetal literally means center seeking, as the force constantly pulls the object towards the center to maintain its orbit. What happens to the motion of a stone being rotated in a circle on a string if the string suddenly breaks? The correct answer will be it flies off along a straight line tangential to the circle. Because the stone's velocity at any instant is tangential, it continues in that straight line direction once the inward force is removed. According to Kepler's first law, what is the shape of a planet's orbit and the position of the sun? The correct answer will be an ellipse with the sun, an ellipse with the sun at one of the foci. Kepler determined that orbits are elliptical and that the sun occupies one of the two focal points of that ellipse. Kepler's second law states that the line joining the planet and the sun sweeps equal areas in equal intervals of time. What does this imply about the planet's speed? The correct answer will be the planet moves faster when it is closer to the sun. When closer to the sun, the radius is shorter, so the planet must travel a longer arc distance to sweep the same area. If the distance between two objects is tripled, if the distance between two objects is tripled, how does the gravitational force between them change according to Newton's law? Distance between two objects is tripled. The correct answer will be the force decreases by a factor of 9. Since force, that is gravitational force, is directly proportional to 1 upon d square, or we can say inversely proportional to the distance, tripling the distance results in a force that is 1 upon 9 of the original. What is the SI unit for the universal gravitational constant, that is capital G? The correct answer will be D, Newton meter square per kilogram square, where the force is in newtons, distance in meters, and mass in kilograms. Which scientist was the first to experimentally measure the value of the universal gravitational constant, that is capital G? Correct answer will be C, Henry Cavendish. The center of mass of a spherical object with uniform density is located at which point? The correct answer will be at its geometrical center. For any object with uniform density and symmetry, the center of mass coincides with its centroid or geometric center. How does the value of the acceleration due to gravity change as one moves from Earth's equator towards the poles? Correct answer will be B. It increases because the polar radius is smaller. The reason is because the Earth bulges at the equator and is flatter at the poles. Objects at the poles are closer to the center of mass, resulting in a higher small g, that is gravitational force value. What happens to the value of gravitational force as we go deep inside the Earth towards its center? Its center means the center of the Earth. The correct option will be C. It decreases because the effective mass contributing to gravity decreases. As you go deeper, the mass of the earth above you pulls in the opposite direction, reducing the net gravitational acceleration. Which of the following statements correctly distinguishes between mass and weight? The correct option will be D. Weight is the force of attraction while mass is the measure of inertia. Mass represents the quantity of matter and resistance to change in motion. Mass represents the quantity of matter and resistance to change in motion, while weight is the gravitational force acting on the mass. If an object is at the center of the earth, what would be its weight? The object is at the center of the earth. The option will be 0. At the center of the earth, the gravitational pull from all directions cancel out, making the net acceleration due to gravity 0. What is the approximate value of the acceleration due to gravity on the surface of the moon compared to the earth? The correct option will be 1/6 of the earth's value. Because the moon has less mass than earth and a different radius, the resulting acceleration due to gravity is roughly 1.63 meter per second square, which is about 1/6 of earth, which is 9.8 meter per second square. Which specific instrument or observatory was mentioned for detecting gravitational waves? The option is LIGO, Laser Interferometric Gravitational Wave Observatory. According to the definition of free fall, what is the only force acting on the object? The option will be the force of gravity. Free fall is defined as the motion of an object solely or only under the influence of the gravitational force. In a vacuum, if a feather and a heavy stone are dropped from the same height simultaneously, which one reaches the ground first? Both the feather and a heavy stone are being dropped in a vacuum. Which object will reach the ground first? Correct option will be D. They both reach the ground at the same time. Galileo proved that in the absence of air resistance, the acceleration due to gravity is independent of the mass of the object. What is the initial velocity of an object during a state of free fall? Initial velocity. The correct option will be 0. Free fall typically begins the moment an object is released from rest, meaning its starting velocity or initial velocity is 0. What is the formula for the gravitational potential energy of an object of mass m at a height h from the Earth's surface? The correct option will be B. The gravitational potential energy will be given by this formula minus gmm upon r plus h, where m and r are the Earth's mass and radius, and the negative sign indicates it is an attractive potential. How is escape velocity defined in the context of Earth's gravity? The correct option will be D. It is the minimum initial velocity required to overcome Earth's gravitational attraction forever. Escape velocity is the threshold speed an object must have at the surface to completely break free from planet's gravitational field. What is the approximate value of the escape velocity on the surface of the Earth? The correct option will be D. 11.2 kilometer per second. 11.2 kilometer per second is the standard escape velocity required to leave Earth's surface. 11.2 kilometer per second. What causes the weightlessness experienced by astronauts in a spacecraft orbiting the Earth? Very important question. What causes the weightlessness experienced by the astronauts? The correct option will be B. The spacecraft and the astronauts are in a state of free fall. What happens to the value of G at a height equal to that of a typical communication satellite, which is at a height of 35,700 kilometer from the Earth's surface? The correct option will be D. It decreases to approximately 0.225 meter per second square. Because the uh, distance is distance is great from the surface of the earth, the value of G is significantly reduced. In Newton's law of gravitation, the force capital F is directly proportional to the product of the masses. If the mass of one object is doubled, what happens to the force? If the mass of one of the objects is doubled, what happens to the gravitational force between the two objects? The correct option will be B, that is the force is doubled. Since capital F directly proportional to m1 m2, doubling either m1 or m2, that is mass of either of the objects, will result in a force that is 2 times the original force. What determines the frequency of high and low tides in the sea at a specific location? We know the high tides and low tides are caused due to the gravitational force exerted by the moon. The moon's gravity pulls the water directly under it, creating a bulge, that is high tide, with a corresponding low tide at 90 degrees from that point. According to Kepler's third law, the square of the period of revolution t square is directly proportional to which power of the mean distance r from the sun? The correct option will be B, r cube. The law states t square directly proportional to r cube, meaning the square of the time it takes to orbit is proportional to the cube of the average distance. So that's all as far as the quiz is concerned, friends. Thank you very much.